And we're live. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Dave Guerra here. That's right, it is Thursday, January 16, 2019. Whoa, what happened here? Okay. I've rearranged some stuff, so stuff's gone crazy. But thank you for stopping by. Thanks for joining me. If you're watching me live, I appreciate you stopping by and watching me live. If you're watching on replay, thank you very much for taking the time to visit and watch. And I hope you listen all the way to the end. I do appreciate it. Let me know. And follow me. Follow me on Facebook. Follow me on Twitter. Follow me on Instagram. Stuff's going on all the time, everywhere. So by all means, I invite you to stop by. So good evening. It is Thursday, and Thursday, you know what that means. That's right. It is time for Lessons in Leadership. Lessons in Leadership. And tonight, like it says in the show notes, wherever they happen to be on your screen, the show notes, it's about never play favorites when it comes to leadership. And breaking news as I was finishing this up and getting ready to come on the air. So it's quite timely dealing with favorites and favoritism. Favoritism happens. It happens all the time. We know as leaders, we know it should not happen, yet here we are right in the middle of this perfect example today in my local news. I'm not going to get too much into it, but I don't think you have to look that far anyplace else. Wherever you happen to be on the planet, I don't think you have to peel back the layers, too many layers, to see that favoritism occurs, favoritisms are going on, favoritism happens. And we've all heard it all our lives growing up. We've heard it, and we still hear it today. You were always so-and-so's favorite. Oh, you were always mom's favorite. You were always granddad's favorite. Whatever. You hear that. You also hear things like, oh, that's just, don't worry about him. He's a teacher's pet. Or don't worry about her. She's a teacher's pet. Oh, that's the principal's son. Things like that. That's the favoritism. You get tagged that way, and that's where the favoritism is. And the go-to guy or the go-to gal, and so on and so on. But it's don't worry about that. That's not the issue. It is an issue, because all it really truly does is it serves to create discontent, resentment, jealousy, mistrust, animosity. Nothing positive comes from that, playing the favorites. And we're all human beings. Everybody's a human being. Leaders are human beings. I get that. But I also, for the longest time, and I stand on the premise that if you want to be the leader, you stepped up to be the leader, guess what? You have to be the leader to everyone. And I've said it on this show numerous times. I've said it in my writings, in my podcast, in my other videos. You want to be the leader, you have to step up, and you cannot pick and choose. You cannot pick and choose who you want to lead. No, that's freaking middle school mindset. See, a leader that believes they can pick and choose who they want to lead are not leaders. They're not leaders. If you want to say, oh, I'm going to pick and choose, this is who I'm going to lead, they're not even bad managers. They are just horrible. They're not even bad. They play that favorites. They play that favorites game that was played back in middle school. Middle school, it's just nonsense. And I'm not going to get into it, but it's just a nonsense time in anybody's life. I know I hated when I was in middle school. I know a lot of kids nowadays, same thing. They just don't like middle school. They love elementary, and I'm not going back that far, but it's really in that middle school mindset that things just happen. And then in high school, things start to settle down because people are more interested in their future. Now they're starting to see their future as opposed to start playing those games. And again, even then, childish and foolish mindsets, and that's what creates, because there's still going to be those people that are going to move on and take that with them. And it's like, oh, I have to play favorites. But again, it's a childish and foolish mindset, and those individuals are stuck with it because no one's called them out on it. No one has called them out on it, or they've seen the leadership or their mentor, quote unquote, the mentors before them do the same thing. So it's just kind of the natural progression. If they did it, well, I can get away with it too. Folks, this is the 21st century. I mean, if it was all just a popularity, then, the ones playing favoritism, well, they would be kings. They would be kings. But you know what? This is not, like I said, this is 2020. This is the 21st century. We're into the third decade. We're into the third decade. 2000 to 2009, the first decade. 10 to 19, the second. We're into the third decade of the 21st century. And folks, we can't be playing those games. There is no time for those kind of sixth grade, we cannot be playing those middle school games. And that's all that is. Folks, as a leader in the 21st century, you as a leader in the 21st century, there's just no time. Everyone. that irresponsible is hustling. Everyone is grinding. Everyone is trying to make something happen. And if you're not out there doing it, and if you're not out there encouraging the people that you're responsible for, all of them, then you don't belong in a leadership position. You have failed as a leader. If you're still living in that mindset of the 20th century mindset, 1970s, 1980s way of doing things and singling people out and playing that game, 1960s, 1950s, you're wrong. You've lost. This is the 21st century. You're going to get found out, and you're going to get found out sooner than later because it is the 21st century. Everyone's a little bit more connected nowadays. Everyone is not afraid to talk. Everyone is not afraid to share. And when that favoritism pops up, guess what? You're going to get called on it. Don't get called on it. And how do you not get called on it? Well, you don't behave in that manner. You have an issue, you have to deal with it. You step up. Don't worry about ruining your reputation. Your reputation is ruined. Worry about rebuilding it because you stepped up and you said, we're not going to tolerate this anymore. This behavior is not going to happen. It's not condoned. It's not going to be accepted, and dish out the punishment. But if you're playing favorites as a bad manager, you don't belong there. This is the 21st century. That time's over. That time is long gone. And remember, they just have no place in that business. So everyone, sure, you're human. And like I said sure, you can have people you don't like. You can have people you don't like, and that's fine. But as a leader, you have to remember two things. Thing number one, as a leader, don't show it. Don't show that you don't like someone. For whatever reason, you have your own private internal reason. Keep it to yourself. Number two, treat everyone, and I mean everyone, the same. And guess what? The people start proving themselves to you. People start showing who they truly are. And guess what? Maybe deep down inside, you do like them. But you have to change your mindset. You have to change your way of thinking. You have to change your way of behaving. Because if you want to remain a leader in the 21st century, you cannot keep playing those middle school games. You cannot be playing the way the game was played in the 1970s, the 1980s, 1990s to some degree, the 40s, the 50s. You can't do that. Favoritism's gone. And yeah, I know in a lot of places, I've had a conversation this past week with somebody who's trying to get a job finally got a job where they wanted to get a job at. But the conclusion is why they couldn't get a job is because they didn't know anybody. But they had the credentials. They had the education credentials, they had the experience credentials, but they didn't know the right people because where they were applying and where they were trying to get a job, it was who you knew. And that's how they got in. So if you have a problem with someone, work it out. If you have a problem with someone in the workplace, you as a leader, if you have a problem with somebody, work it out. Because, well, you have to work together. You have to work together. And as a leader, you have to be better and you have to rise above because that's the only way it's going to get done. So make sure you're doing it. And in 2020, you have no choice. You have no choice. You have to be real. You have to be authentic. You have to be the walking leader to everyone, See, the days of leaders, and I quote that because they're not leaders, the days of leaders playing those games of favoritism, they're gone. They're out the window, and long gone. You have to be better than that. You have to be better than that. Be better, behave better, you do better. Everyone, I'm Dave Garrett. Thanks for stopping by. This is Lessons in Leadership. And when it comes to playing favorites, don't do it. Don't do it. So listen, I'll talk to you tomorrow. Have a great evening. I appreciate your time. Thanks again for watching. We'll talk to you soon.